The apartment was dark when I got home, except for the blue glow of my laptop screen. I'd made dinner for two. I ate alone, again. My phone buzzed. A text from Vanessa, running late. Don't wait up. 3 words. That's all I got most nights now. I remember when we first got married, 2 years ago. She used to call just to hear my voice between meetings. Now her voice on the phone sounded like a stranger reading a schedule. I wasn't angry. Not yet. I told myself she was building something huge, CEO of a company that started in her garage, now worth millions. I was proud of her. I just missed her. The next morning, I met Lily for coffee before work. She'd been my friend since college, now my coworker at the architecture firm. She always saw things before I did. You look tired, she said, sliding into the booth across from me. Vanessa had another late night, I said, stirring my coffee even though there was nothing left to stir. Lily raised an eyebrow. Another one? That's what, for this week. She's running a company, Lily. It's not exactly 9 to 5. I know that. She paused, choosing her words carefully. I saw her last week. Downtown. Late. With Marcus. My hand stopped moving. Marcus Hale? How investor? Yeah. They were at that little cafe on 5th. Just the two of them. She shrugged, but her eyes didn't match the casualness of it. Probably business. It's always business with her, I said, and I meant it as a joke, but it came out flat. Daniel. Lily leaned forward. I'm not saying anything happened. You should ask her about it. That's all. Ask her what? If she's allowed to meet with her own investor. Ask her why she didn't mention it. I didn't have an answer for that. I just knew I didn't want to start a fight over coffee meetings and investor calls. Vanessa worked hard. She always had. That's who she was when I married her, and I loved her for it. I trust her, I said, more to convince myself than Lily. Lily didn't push. She just nodded slowly. Okay, I hope you're right. That night, I tried again. I made her favorite, grilled salmon, the recipe her mother taught me 2 Christmases ago. I lit 2 candles, feeling stupid for it, like I was trying too hard to remind my own wife that I existed. She walked in at 9:30, blazer still on, phone in hand. Vanessa, hey, I made dinner. She glanced at the table, then at me. Oh, Daniel, I'm sorry. I already ate at the office. Ellie ordered in. You could have told me. I texted you. You texted me 2 words at 6 o'clock. I made this at 7. She sighed, setting her bag down. I'm sorry. It's been insane. The board wants numbers by Friday and Marcus keeps changing the terms on the new investment round and she rubbed her temple. I don't have the energy to fight about dinner right now. I'm not trying to fight, I said, softer now. I just miss you. Something in her face flickered. Guilt, maybe, or exhaustion. I couldn't tell anymore. I miss you too, she said. I do. I just need to get through this quarter. Things will slow down. I'd heard that before. Last quarter. The quarter before that. Lily said she saw you with Marcus last week. At a cafe. Vanessa's eyes snapped to mine. Just for a second, something tightened in her expression. Then it smoothed over, fast, like she practiced it. We were discussing the investment terms. That's it. You didn't mention it. Should I report every meeting I have, Daniel? I have hundreds of meetings a week. Not with him, you didn't use to hide. I'm not hiding anything. Her voice sharpened. I don't have time for you to be insecure about my investor. That word, insecure, landed like a slap. I wasn't insecure. I was lonely. There was a difference, but I didn't say that. I just nodded and said, okay, forget it. She softened again, came over, kissed my cheek. I'm sorry. I'll make it up to you this weekend. I promise. Sure, I said. This weekend. She went to shower. I cleared the table, scraped the cold salmon into the trash, blew out the candles that never should have been lit in the first place. Her phone buzzed on the counter. I wasn't trying to look. I swear I wasn't. But the screen lit up on its own, unlocked from her last use, and the message sat right there in plain view. From Marcus. Meet me at the same place. Don't tell Daniel. I stared at it. Read it twice. 3 times. The water was still running in the bathroom. I could hear her humming some song, like nothing in the world was wrong. My hands felt cold. My chest felt tight, like something had cracked open inside me and I hadn't even heard it break. Same place. Don't tell Daniel. Not don't tell your husband. Not keep this quiet. Don't tell Daniel. Like I was some obstacle to plan around. Like my name was a warning label. I set the phone down exactly where I found it, screen facing the same direction. Like if I put it back carefully enough, I could pretend I never saw it. The shower shut off. I heard her footsteps. I sat down at the kitchen table, hands folded, staring at nothing. Whatever this was, I couldn't unsee it now. And some small, quiet part of me, the part that had been ignoring every warning sign for months, finally woke up and whispered one sentence I couldn't shake. Something is very wrong. I didn't sleep that night. I lay next to Vanessa, listening to her breathe steady and slow, while my mind replayed those 7 words over and over. Meet me at the same place. Don't tell Daniel. The next evening, she said she had a late meeting. I told her I had a dinner with a client. Neither of us was telling the truth, but for the first time, I decided to find out what hers actually was. I followed her car from a distance, my hands sweating on the wheel like I was doing something criminal instead of just trying to understand my own marriage. She pulled up to the same cafe Lily mentioned, small, tucked between a bookstore and a dry cleaner, the kind of place you'd only know about if someone showed you. Marcus was already there, 2 coffees on the table, like he knew exactly how she took hers. I parked across the street and watched through the window. I told myself I'd leave if it was really just business. I told myself a lot of things. Vanessa sat down, and Marcus reached over, covered her hand with his for just a second. She didn't pull away right away. You look exhausted, I imagined him saying, though I couldn't hear a word from where I sat today. I didn't need to hear it. Her face said enough, tired, unguarded, the way she used to look at me. I got out of the car. My legs felt heavy walking across the street, but I didn't stop. The bell above the cafe door rang when I walked in. Vanessa's head turned first. Her face went white. Daniel. Hey. My voice came out steadier than I felt. Funny, I thought you said you had a board call tonight. Marcus leaned back, unbothered, like he'd expected this moment and rehearsed his calm for it. Daniel, good to see you. We're just going over the investment restructuring. Vanessa's under a lot of pressure with the board. I wasn't talking to you, I said, keeping my eyes on my wife. Vanessa stood up fast, grabbing her bag. Can we not do this here? Do what? Ask why you lied to me. I didn't lie. I said I had a meeting. You said board call. This isn't the board. She glanced at Marcus, who raised his hands slightly, like he was staying out of it, though I noticed he didn't leave. Marcus and I needed to talk privately about the funding round. He thinks I'm not tough enough for the board, that I second-guess myself too much. He's been helping me work through it. By holding your hand. Her face flushed. That's not. He was just being supportive. Supportive. I let the word sit there. You don't tell me anything anymore, but you're getting emotional support from your investor at some cafe you sneak off to. I'm not sneaking anywhere. I don't need your permission for who I talk to. That's not what this is about, Vanessa, and you know it. Marcus finally stood, buttoning his jacket. I think I should let you two talk. He looked at Vanessa, not me. Call me later if you want to finish going over the numbers. I watched him walk out, calm as anything, like he hadn't just spent the last 20 minutes with his hand on my wife's. Vanessa turned on me the second the door shut behind him. Are you happy now? You just made a scene in front of my investor. I made a scene? You've been lying to me for weeks. I haven't lied. I just didn't tell you every detail of my schedule because you turn everything into an interrogation. I found out by accident that you were even here, Vanessa. That should tell you something. It tells me you're checking my phone now, following me. I saw a text. That's all. Don't tell Daniel. Why would he write that if this was just business? She hesitated, just a second too long. Because you get insecure. You always have. Ever since I got the CEO position, you've acted like I'm going to leave you behind. I'm not insecure. I'm your husband, and I'm invisible in my own marriage. That's not fair, isn't it? When's the last time you asked me how my day was? Actually asked, and waited for the answer. She didn't say anything. That silence hurt more than any answer could have. I have to go, she finally said. I have calls to make. Of course you do. She left without looking back. I stood alone in that cafe, the smell of coffee and the hum of the espresso machine the only things keeping me company. I called Sophia from the parking lot. She picked up on the second ring. Hey, big brother. What's wrong? How do you know something's wrong? Because you never call unless something's wrong. What happened? I told her everything. The text, the cafe, Marcus's hand on Vanessa's, the word insecure thrown at me like I was a problem. Sophia was quiet for a moment, then said, I never trusted her, Daniel. Not because she's ambitious. I love that about her, honestly. But she's never once made you feel like you mattered as much as her career. Not once. She used to. Did she? Or did you just want to believe she did? I didn't answer. I didn't have to. Sitting there in my car outside that cafe, replaying the way Vanessa's face had gone cold and defensive instead of guilty, I understood something I'd been avoiding for months. I wasn't just lonely in my marriage. I was disappearing in it. And nobody, not even the woman who promised to build a life with me, seemed to notice I was gone. I drove to my parents' house that weekend without calling ahead. I just needed to be somewhere that felt like mine. My mom opened the door before I even knocked, like she always did. Daniel, you look terrible. Thanks, Mom. Come in. Sit down. I'll make tea. My dad was in his usual chair, reading, glasses low on his nose, newspaper folded on his lap. He looked up at me over the rims. Rough week. Rough few months, honestly. He set the paper aside. Vanessa. I nodded, and it all came out. The late nights, Marcus, the cafe, the text message, the word insecure she'd thrown at me like a weapon. My mom sat beside me, taking my hand. Oh, honey. I don't even know what I'm supposed to do. Confront her again? Hire someone to follow her? Post the messages online so everyone sees who she really is? My dad was quiet for a moment, then said, You know, when I was about your age, a man at my company took credit for a project I'd spent 2 years building. Told the board it was his idea. I found out the day of the presentation. What did you do? I wanted to destroy him. I had the emails. I had witnesses. I could have torn his career apart in that boardroom. He paused. Instead, I stood up, said the project was a team effort, and let it go. Why would you let him get away with that? Because revenge would have made me feel powerful for a day and bitter for years. I chose peace instead. And you know what happened? 2 years later, that man got caught lying about something else, something bigger, and it cost him everything. I didn't need to lift a finger. That's convenient timing. Karma doesn't run on my schedule or yours, Daniel. But it runs. What matters is who you become while you're waiting for it. I sat with that for a long moment. So what? I just let Vanessa keep doing whatever she's doing with Marcus. Pretend everything's fine. No, my mom said gently. You decide what you deserve. And it doesn't sound like you're getting it from her. I chose her, Mom. I promised forever. You promised forever to someone who showed up, my dad said. The woman lying to you at that cafe isn't the person you married. You're not betraying a promise by walking away from someone who already broke it. I looked at both of them, and something in my chest loosened, just slightly. Not happiness, just clarity. I don't want revenge, I said, mostly to myself. I don't want to expose her or ruin her name. I just want out, quietly, with whatever's left of my self-respect. My dad nodded slowly. That's the strongest thing I've heard you say in months. I called Tom Bradley the next morning. We'd been friends since college, and he'd become a divorce lawyer almost by accident, though he was good at it, calm, precise, never dramatic. Daniel Reeves, he said, picking up. It's been a while. Tom, I need your help. I want a divorce. Silence for a second. From Vanessa? Are you serious? Dead serious. What happened? I'll explain everything, but I need this done quietly. No public mess, no drama. I don't want to destroy her company or her reputation. I just want to end this with some dignity. That's actually rare to hear in my line of work, Tom said. Most people want blood. I don't need blood. I need peace. Okay, I'll draft the papers this week. We'll keep it clean, straightforward. You sure about this? I've never been more sure of anything. The papers arrived at our apartment 5 days later, delivered quietly, no scene, no lawyers shouting across a table. I handed them to Vanessa myself, at the kitchen table where I used to make her dinner and wait for her to come home. She stared at the folder like it might be a joke. What is this? Divorce papers. Her hands actually shook opening the folder. Daniel, you can't be serious. Over one misunderstanding at a cafe. It's not one misunderstanding, Vanessa. It's months of feeling like a stranger in my own home. It's you choosing Marcus's approval over mine. It's you calling me insecure instead of just being honest. So this is it? No fighting, no yelling. You're just done. I'm not going to fight for something you clearly stopped fighting for a long time ago. She looked at me like she was searching for anger, something she could push against, something familiar. I didn't give her that. I expected you to scream at me, she said quietly, or threaten to tell everyone. Something. I don't need to destroy you to walk away, Vanessa. I just need to leave. She sat down slowly, papers still in her hands, staring at them like they'd rewritten themselves into something she didn't recognize. You're really doing this, she said. Not a question anymore. I already did. I picked up my jacket and walked toward the door. For the first time in months, my chest didn't feel tight. It felt light, like I'd finally put down something I'd been carrying for far too long. Behind me, I heard her voice, small and unfamiliar. Daniel, wait. But I didn't turn around. Some doors, once you finally find the courage to walk through them, aren't meant to be walked back through. I moved into a small apartment near my parents' place that first week. Boxes everywhere, half unpacked, but for the first time in months, the silence in a room didn't feel like punishment. It felt like mine. Lily called almost every day. How are you holding up? Better than I expected, I told her, and I meant it. I actually slept 8 hours last night. Didn't realize how long it had been. And Vanessa? Haven't heard much. Tom says the paperwork's moving fast. She's not fighting it. That surprises me. Me too, honestly. What I didn't know then, I only pieced together weeks later, mostly through Lily, who'd stayed friendly with Ellie, Vanessa's assistant, from some old work conference. Ellie called Lily in a panic one afternoon, and Lily called me right after, practically breathless. You will not believe what's happening at Vanessa's company. What? Ellie found documents. Financial ones. Signed off using Vanessa's authorization, except Vanessa never actually approved them. Marcus pushed through a restructuring deal that hands him almost 40% control of the company. How does that even happen? Apparently he's been getting Vanessa to sign things during those late-night support sessions. Getting her emotional, getting her doubting herself, then sliding contracts in front of her when she's exhausted and second-guessing every decision. I sat back, stunned despite myself. He was never actually interested in her. He was after the company the whole time. Ellie thinks so. She said Vanessa found out yesterday and completely lost it in the office. Screamed at Marcus in front of half the executive team. I felt something strange sitting in my chest. Not satisfaction exactly, but not sympathy either. Just a quiet recognition. The isolation she'd used against me, the late nights and the secrets, had circled right back around to swallow her too. Ellie told Lily what happened next, and Lily repeated it to me almost word for word. You manipulated me, Vanessa had said, according to Ellie, right there in the glass-walled conference room everyone could see into. You made me feel like I couldn't trust my own judgment, and then you used that to steal my company. Marcus, calm as ever, apparently just shrugged. I gave you support, Vanessa. You signed the documents. Nobody forced your hand. You knew exactly what you were doing. I know how to run a business. Clearly, that's more than you can say right now. Ellie said Vanessa stormed out, locked herself in her office, and didn't come out for hours. When she finally did, she asked Ellie one question that apparently stuck with her. Did I really push everyone away this badly? My husband, and now this. Ellie didn't have an answer for her. I'm not sure anyone did. Back in my own life, things were slower, quieter, but steadier. I started going to my parents for dinner twice a week, something I hadn't done regularly in years. "You look lighter," my mom said one evening, setting a plate in front of me. "I feel lighter." My dad glanced up from his plate. "Work's good." "Better than good, actually." I picked up the Hendrick project again, the community center design I shelved last year. Reminded me why I liked this job in the first place. "That's the one you were so excited about? Before everything got so busy." "Yeah. Funny how you forget the things you love when you're trying so hard to hold onto something that's already gone." Sophia showed up halfway through dinner, dropping into the chair next to me without asking. "Heard the empire's crumbling," she said, smirking slightly. "Sophia," Mom warned. "What?" "I'm just saying what everyone's thinking." She turned to me. "You good?" "Surprisingly, yeah." "You're not gloating even a little." I thought about it honestly. "No. I just feel like I finally stopped drowning." "That's more mature than I expected from you," she said. And I laughed, actually laughed, for what felt like the first time in weeks. Later that night, alone in my apartment, I thought about Vanessa, not with anger, not even really with sadness anymore. Just distance, like looking at a photograph of someone I used to know. She'd built walls around her ambitions so high that even the people who loved her couldn't get close. And now the very thing she protected so fiercely was slipping through her fingers, taken by the one person she trusted to help her hold it together. I didn't wish that on her. I hadn't asked for it, hadn't planned it, hadn't lifted a single finger to make it happen. But my dad's words came back to me clearly that night, sitting in my quiet apartment with a life that finally felt like my own again. Karma doesn't run on my schedule or yours. But it runs. I think, for the first time since I signed those divorce papers, I actually believed him. I heard most of what happened next through Lily, who still talked to Ellie every few days. Some of it I only pieced together later, when Vanessa herself finally told me the rest, months down the road. But even secondhand, sitting in my apartment listening to Lily recount it over the phone, I could picture every moment like I'd been standing in the room. "The board called an emergency meeting," Lily told me. "Ellie said investors are furious. Someone leaked the restructuring documents, the ones showing Marcus manipulated the numbers using Vanessa's signature." "Who leaked them?" "Ellie doesn't know for sure. Maybe someone on the inside who didn't trust Marcus either. Anyway, the investors are questioning everything now. They want to know how Vanessa let this happen right under her nose. That's got to be brutal for her." Apparently she just sat there through the whole meeting, barely said a word. Ellie said she looked like she'd aged 5 years in 5 days. I didn't feel joy hearing that. I thought I might. Once. But mostly I just felt tired on her behalf, the way you feel tired watching someone you used to love fall apart, even from a distance. Patricia, Vanessa's mother, apparently showed up at her apartment 2 days after that board meeting. Vanessa told me later that her mother rarely visited without calling first, so she knew something was wrong the second she opened the door and saw her standing there. "You look exhausted," Patricia had said, according to Vanessa. "I'm fine, Mom." "You're not fine. I saw the news. The board shake-up, the investment scandal. Is it true Marcus took control of 40% of the company?" Vanessa said she just nodded, unable to even speak the number out loud. "And Daniel?" Patricia asked. "Ellie mentioned something about a divorce." "It's done. Papers are signed." Patricia sat down slowly across from her. "Vanessa, I need to ask you something, and I need you to actually answer me honestly." "Okay. Did you push him away because you thought loving him meant looking weak?" Vanessa told me she didn't answer right away. She said the question sat there, heavy, until she finally admitted, "Maybe. I don't know. I just always felt like if I wasn't the strongest person in every room, I didn't deserve to be there." "You know where that came from, right?" "Grandma." Patricia nodded. "My mother told me the same thing my whole childhood. Success matters more than love. Weakness gets you left behind. I believed it so completely I passed it straight to you without even realizing it." She reached for Vanessa's hand. "I watched you build an empire, and I was so proud. I never stopped to ask if you were happy inside it. I thought happy and successful were supposed to be the same thing. They're not, sweetheart. I learned that too late for myself. I'm so sorry I taught you the same lesson. Vanessa said she cried for the first time in years, right there at her own kitchen table, her mother holding her hand the way she hadn't in a decade. The next morning, she called Marcus into her office one final time. Ellie told Lily she stood outside the door the whole time, listening. "We're done," Vanessa apparently told him. "I'm bringing in outside counsel to review every decision you've made. If there's fraud, and I believe there is, you're going to answer for it. You're really going to throw away everything we built over some hurt feelings." "We didn't build anything together, Marcus. You built something on top of my trust, and I let you because I was too afraid to admit I needed real support instead of someone telling me exactly what I wanted to hear. You'll regret this. Maybe, but I'll regret it as someone who finally stood up for herself, instead of someone who let you keep taking pieces of my life one signature at a time." Ellie said he left without another word, and Vanessa sat alone in her office for a long time afterward. I don't know exactly when it happened, whether it was that day or the weeks after, but Vanessa told me later that everything finally became clear to her in that silence. The company she'd sacrificed her marriage for was now half broken. The man she'd trusted with her insecurities had only ever wanted her signature. And the one person who'd shown up consistently, who'd made her dinner and lit candles and asked how her day was, even when she barely answered, was gone. "I kept thinking success would make me feel safe," she told me much later. "But the only time I ever actually felt safe was sitting across from you at that kitchen table, before I ruined it." I didn't say anything when she told me that. There wasn't really anything left to say. Some realizations only mean something when they come too late to change what's already been lost. 4 months after the divorce finalized, I was a different man than the one who'd signed those papers. I didn't wake up every morning bracing myself for silence. I didn't check my phone hoping for 2 extra words. I'd finished the Hendrick Community Center project, and my firm gave me my own team afterward. Small things, but they felt like proof I was building something real again. I was at my parents' house that Sunday evening, helping my dad fix the fence in the backyard while my mom made dinner inside. The evening air was cool, the kind that made everything feel calm. "You've been smiling more," my dad said, handing me a nail. "I've been feeling more like myself." "Good. That's all your mother and I ever wanted for you." We heard the doorbell ring from the front of the house. My mom's voice called out, "I'll get it," followed a moment later by silence, then her voice again, quieter this time. "Daniel, come here a second." I walked around to the front porch, wiping my hands on my jeans, and stopped when I saw her. Vanessa stood on the steps, and I barely recognized her at first. Her hair was different, pulled back plainly instead of the polished style she always wore for board meetings. Her eyes were red, swollen like she'd been crying for hours, maybe days. She looked smaller somehow, like the confidence she used to carry like armor had finally worn thin. "Daniel," she said, voice cracking on my name. "Vanessa, what are you doing here?" "I needed to see you. I tried your apartment, but you weren't there, and I remembered you always came here on Sundays, so She stopped, pressing her hand against her mouth like she was trying to hold herself together. My mom stood just behind me, quiet, watching carefully. My dad appeared beside her a moment later, saying nothing, just present. "Vanessa, what happened?" "I lost the company." The words came out broken. "The board voted me out completely. Marcus is facing fraud charges, but it doesn't matter anymore. Everything I built, everything I gave up so much for, it's gone." "I'm sorry to hear that." "And I meant it, even now. That's not why I'm here." She wiped her face, tears falling faster than she could catch them. "I'm not here because I lost the company, Daniel. I'm here because I finally understand what I actually lost. It was you. It was ever having someone who showed up for me honestly instead of using me." "Vanessa, please, just let me say this. I spent years thinking success would make me safe, that if I was strong enough, powerful enough, nobody could hurt me. And I pushed away the one person who never wanted to hurt me at all. You made me dinner. You lit candles. You asked about my day, and I couldn't even give you 5 honest minutes in return." Her voice broke completely then, and she pressed her hand against the door frame like she needed something to hold her up. "I'm not asking you to take me back," she said. "I know I don't deserve that. I just needed you to know I'm sorry. Really sorry. Not because I lost everything, but because I finally see what I threw away while I still had it. I stood there for a long moment, looking at this woman who used to be my whole life, now standing broken on my parents' front porch. I searched myself for anger, for some satisfaction in watching her fall this far. I didn't find any. I forgive you, Vanessa. Her eyes lifted to mine, surprised. You do? I do. Holding on to anger toward you would just be another way of letting you control my life. I don't want that anymore. I want peace. Does that mean? It doesn't mean we get back together. That part of my life is over, and honestly, I'm at peace with that too. But I don't hate you. I hope you rebuild something real, something that actually makes you happy this time. She nodded slowly, tears still falling, but something in her shoulders relaxed, like she'd been carrying a weight. She finally allowed herself to set down. Thank you, she whispered, for not being cruel. I expected you to slam the door in my face, and I would have deserved it. I'm not that man, Vanessa. I never wanted to be. She turned and walked back to her car slowly, and I watched her go until her taillights disappeared around the corner. My mom placed a gentle hand on my shoulder. You okay? Yeah, I said, and I meant it completely. I actually am. My dad nodded once, like he understood exactly what had just happened without needing another word explained. That's the strongest thing I've ever watched you do, son. I stood on that porch a while longer, the evening air cool against my face, thinking about everything that had led me there. I never sought revenge. I never tried to destroy her name or her company. I just walked away with whatever dignity I had left, and somehow, that quiet choice had done more damage to the life she'd built than any plan for vengeance ever could have. Real strength, I understood now, was never about making someone else pay for their mistakes. It was about knowing your own worth clearly enough that you refused to keep begging for it from someone who couldn't see it. I finally knew mine, and walking back inside to the warm kitchen where my family waited, I realized that was worth infinitely more than anything I could have taken from her in revenge.